sad development there as we say goodbye to a fallen hero. It is said that the good die young. Sometimes good people live long too. How we wish Christian would have lived long. But how we also wish that leadership in this country could have been better. My name is Benjamin Akakwe, and these are my blunt thoughts for you this morning. I've titled them, Recklessness That Stinks to the High Heavens, How Our Misleaders Keep Betraying Us. Recklessness that stinks to the high heavens, how our misleaders keep betraying us. Therefore, sometimes I begin to wonder whether everything in this country must drive me insane. Over the last few weeks, especially on this segment and in other segments on the AM show, I was talking about that 93-year-old hospital in the Builsa South municipality, which had been left to get dilapidated. Constructed in 1930, became a health center in 1970, saw some refurbishment, was upgraded in 1992, and after that left to rot. Recently, what made the alarm bells ring was the fact that in the children's ward, a snake, a serpent, was found there. But with each passing week, stories emerge that leave me scratching my head and wondering just how low some of these jokers that call themselves leaders can sink in terms of misleadership. I'm not saying all of them. There are some good leaders, but a lot of our leaders tend to be misleaders, joking at post, square pegs in round holes. And it's because of the politics, the kind of politics that we have, the kind of democracy that we practice. I am a bit bothered because guess what? For some 2 years now, just the lamp for surgery at the theater in a hospital has broken down, the West District Hospital, and it is yet to be replaced. 2 years, 365 days times 2. 2 years. And so the medical doctors have to fall on their own phone lights, 2 or 3, put them together and perform surgery. How do you think they would be able to work? And do you think they would be able to serve the ordinary people who come to them? But who cares? Theater lamps for surgery, we have better use for our money, right? I'm just being sarcastic here. After all, in 2023, when we still cannot even get simple theater lamps for hospitals, and when doctors, by the way, and other medical staff at the Pantang Hospital are in a ramshackle building that is so dilapidated, it threatens to fall at any moment. The surveys, research by the health ministry confirmed that, yet it is still standing. And we are waiting for disaster to happen at Pantang before we act. In fact, just to dwell briefly on Pantang, over the last month in February, we found out 2 very interesting things. The Pantang facility owes some suppliers, some 25 suppliers, to the tune of about 2.8 million Ghana cedis. Over the last 6 years, about 150 experienced psychiatric, professionals, nurses, health professionals have left Pantang for the shores to get to other countries, to see greener pastures. About 100 of them were specialized psychiatric and general nurses, with the rest consisting of doctors, pharmacists, technicians, and other experienced personnel. Yet, who cares? Again, in the midst of all of this, the economic crunch that is biting like a saltwater crocodile, in the midst of the chaos in our schools and health facilities because of a lack of logistics, we have this, and I found it very interesting. 42.4 million Ghana cedis is going to be expended on TNT for the office of the president. Let me break it down for you. We're going to spend 42.4 million on TNT for the office of the chief of staff, office of the vice president, office of the cabinet secretariat, and general administration. Choke on that. 42.4 million Ghana cedis. Now, the point is, this is not even coming from us. It's coming from the Ministry of Finance. So these are not figures that you can even question. That is what they are hoping to expend. Yet basic items, desks in schools, theater lamps. Why does a medical facility have to beg for theater lamps? And for 2 freaking years. Yet we're here. People are dying. Only God knows how many people have died on the back of that. Yet our leaders keep misspending our resources. I also found it interesting recently, and I'll be getting to my slides shortly, when I heard that some staff, at least one of them among others, have called to question why their leadership is not driving V8 vehicles. They are concerned that they are using Toyota Camry vehicles. And I found that so interesting. These are the things we're worrying about. This kind of economic buffoonery we have here, when an economic snake pit, and guess what? The system is so shallow, so dependent on material things, that the only thing we can think about is V8 vehicles. You know, it reminds me of a joke that two-time Chief of Defense Staff, Brigadier General Joseph Nunu Mensah, once told me. He said, you know what? I think in this country we have more Toyota Land Cruisers than in Japan, where they are made. That was on a lighter note. But if you look at our situation here, and how technocrats, politicians, want to be served rather than serve, to enjoy luxury rather than provide luxury, then you begin to see that we have a severe mindset problem that must be fixed. But on that note, you know, I was thinking about the situation about the Controller and Accountant Generals, and I was just thinking, anokwasem, anokwa. But can you blame them? Our politicians and other leaders have made this the benchmark. So Ken Ofori-Attah's finance ministry, they claimed that, look, Ken Ofori-Attah's finance ministry, deputy directors there are using V8s. So why do you want to give us Toyota Camrys? You can't blame them, can you? In other countries that give us money, they use saloon cars, even the president himself. Here, we insist on the highest of luxuries. Do you know how much one Land Cruiser costs? If it's armored, do you know how much it costs? That is what we prefer, to the detriment of the ordinary Ghanaian. Are you aware that today, as of today, as I speak, there are people in this country who don't have access to potable water, potable drinking water, even as it is part of our SDG goals. Potable drinking water, they don't have that. Let's get to our slides now. And this is what has been happening. Some staff of the Controller and Accountant General's department have rejected allocations of saloon cars to the department. According to them, the allocation of Toyota Camrys to management and senior staff does not befit their status, hence it must be changed. They argue that counterparts at the Ministry of Finance are driving four-wheel drive vehicles while their bosses are being compelled to drive Toyota Camrys, a saloon car. Interesting times in Ghana. But I also want to touch a bit on another story bordering on Galamsey. If you look at that news item, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire moved to address pollution of Bia and Tano rivers. Let me give you some further details on that. Let's get to the next slide. Why? Illegal small-scale mining in Ghana is destroying the transboundary water resources between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. And this is affecting potable water production, the same potable water I was just talking about, and agriculture in neighboring Cote d'Ivoire. Our sins are visiting mayhem on them. Our recklessness is resulting in trouble for them. The pollution threatens hydropower supply in Cote d'Ivoire because the Bia River hosts two of that country's hydropower generation dams. The rivers involved are the Tano and Bia river basins. We become so reckless, our actions are affecting others. When will it stop? In March 2017, a news item in an Ivorian newspaper with the headline, "The Gold Rush Polluting Cote d'Ivoire's Drinking Water," reported how Galamsey in Ghana was impacting water supply in that country. The report said the Bia River, which is a vital source of water for residents of Bianouan in East Cote d'Ivoire, could no longer be used for drinking or washing. You can't use it for drinking, you can't use it for washing, because it was so polluted and fishing in it had come to a standstill. Do you see how far our recklessness goes? If you go to the book of Genesis, man was told to actually take care of the earth, to till it, to make the most of it, make it fruitful. This is not what we're doing. But the second bit I want to look at, moving on from Galamsey-related activities, are road tolls. They have been increased on average by 88.05%. I have my own concerns. Now, the new tolls are expected to be an upward adjustment between 33.3% to 400%, depending on the vehicle type. Let's go to the next slide. It's been 1 year and 4 months since road tolls were abolished. In fact, if you look at the details, the average annual revenue we were raking in, 72 million Ghana cedis. The revenue per day, just shy of 200,000, 197,260. The total number of public toll stations, 38. And the revenue lost so far, 1 year, 4 months on, 95.6 million Ghana cedis. The question is, who sent us? I said it here on numerous occasions. Don't let it go. Makes no sense. We're back. Now, to wrap the conversation, we've spoken about Galamsey. I started with my own thoughts about the Controller and Accountant General's Department, Galamsey, road tolls. But how about 1D, 1F? Especially on the back of our latest Hotline documentary, One Factory or One District, some factories. Close to 200,000 gas cylinders. Can you imagine that? Are locked up in the cylinder manufacturing company. I'm talking about APEB cylinder under 1D, 1F. The company says this is as a result of competition from foreign manufacturers. So what was the idea of 1D, 1F? To let the foreign influence or elements take over? Was that it? Are we implementing it correctly? And the managers of the company say allowing foreign companies to venture into areas that are solely reserved for Ghanaians is knocking indigenous companies out of business. So you see why these are some of the elements. We claim we've done X, we've done Y, we've done Z. Why are they not yielding A, B, and C? This is one of the reasons. Next slide. Now, if you look finally at budgetary allocations in terms of the analysis over time, you would notice that a total of 1.68 billion has been allocated to 1D, 1F since 2017. 1.68 billion. How much has the e-levy even raked in for us? So this is no small sum of money. 1.68 billion. Do you have any idea how much this could do for us in terms of roads? We've sunk it into 1D, 1F. But even that, over time, you see the downward trend. When it started in 2017, we actually allocated 456.2 million Ghana cedis on 1D, 1F. Then 400 in 2018. It fell to a low of 2019, 95 million. It started appreciating again, and for now, it's only about half the figure. It's been decreasing, and I do not know why. If we felt we were getting the results, why would funding be decreasing? A lot of things are not working in this country. Health is not working. Education is not working. Our roads are not working. Galamsey is impacting our situation. Sometimes, on a day like this when we say goodbye to Christian Achu, I just wanted to tone it down a bit. But honestly, there are a lot of jokers in this country masquerading as leaders, pretending they know how to lead just because they've been given a certain portfolio. Ghana, we must rise up. We must think. We must wake up. And when I say rise up, I mean nothing negative. But we must hold our politicians, the technocrats, we must hold their feet to the fire of accountability. Because if not, someday, who knows, our children may not even have the benefit of claiming they are from a place called Ghana. Let's always remember, the people of Israel, at a point, did not have a motherland. It had to be carved out for them sometime in the 40s. I share these thoughts with you, Ghana, because I'm a passionate Ghanaian. I'm passionate about the brand Ghana. And I wish young people like me could get better in the future. That those to come would enjoy a better Ghana, the land of the warrior king, rather than a Ghana with so much segregation between the rich and the poor, the haves and the have-nots. These are my blunt thoughts shared with you this Friday morning. Raw, hot, unedited, undiluted. God have mercy on us. Grant wisdom to our leaders and make our nation great and strong. Thank you for watching.